Hello viewers, tutorial 13 question 11, find the maxima and minima, so in other words the turning points of the curve y equals x to the power of 4 minus 2x squared plus 1. So if we're finding turning points we want to differentiate. So if we differentiate x to the 4 we get 4x to the power of 3 and the derivative of 4x of 2x squared is 4x. So when we're finding turning points, we set that derivative equal to 0 and we solve that resulting equation. So we can take out a common factor of 4x, so we get 4x times x squared gives you 4x cubed minus 4x times 1 is 4x equals 0. Okay, so this bracket is a difference of two squares, 1 is 1 squared. So that means that we can further factorise it. So we get 4x times it factorises to x plus 1 times x minus 1, which is 0. So if x is 0, then 4x is 0. 0 times something makes the whole thing 0. So x equals 0 is the solution. Otherwise, that bracket could be 0, in which case x would be negative 1. X plus 1 equals 0 means x equals negative 1, or x minus 1 could be 0, which means if we move 1 to the other side, x equals 1. Okay, so we've got three solutions to derivative equals 0, which means that we have three turning points. Okay, so we need to work out whether each one is a maximum or a minimum, and the y-coordinate of each point. So to get whether each one is a maximum, we'll need to work out the second derivative. So the second derivative is the derivative of the derivative. The derivative was 4x cubed minus 4x. That we need to differentiate. So if we differentiate that, we get 12x squared minus 4. Okay, so we're going to substitute 0, negative 1 and 1 into both the original function and the second derivative. So when x equals 0, then y is 0. So we're substituting into the original, which is x to the 4 minus 2x squared plus 1. So that will give you 0 minus 0 plus 1 is 1. And y double dash of 0, so substitute 0 into the second derivative as well. We get 12 times 0 squared minus 4, which is negative 4. Second derivative was negative. That tells us that we have a maximum at x was 0 and y, we found that to be 1. So when x equals negative 1, y of negative 1 is negative 1 to the power of 4 minus 2 times negative 1 squared plus 1. Negative 1 to the power of 4 is 1. So this is 1 minus that's going to be 2 plus 1 gives us 0. And the second derivative, if we evaluate that at negative 1, we get 12 times negative 1 squared minus 4. So negative 1 squared is 1 times 12 is 12 minus 4 is 8. That second derivative turned out to be positive, which means we have a minimum at x was negative 1 and y we found to be 0. And we need to do the same thing for x equals 1. So when x equals 1, y of 1 equals 1 to the power of 4 minus 2 times 1 squared plus 1. So we've got 1 minus 2 plus 1, which is 0. And second derivative at 1 is 12 times 1 squared minus 4, which is 8. Okay, so that is again positive, the second derivative, which means it's another minimum at x is 1 and y was 0. Okay, thanks for watching. Over and out.